Hello friends, I am back again with another session for your ICSE Semester 1 2020 board examination. The council has first declared the bifurcation of the syllabus, which we have already discussed in the previous tutorial. Now in this tutorial, I will be discussing the solution of the specimen paper which has come up on the council site for ICSE Chemistry Semester 1 2020 examination. So before we see the solution of the question paper, let's see the syllabus once again. So just let me share the screen and here it goes. Now I have already told you in the previous tutorial the chapters which are there for semester 1. It's periodic properties and variations of properties, chemical bonding, study of acid bases and salts, analytical chemistry, mole concept and stoichiometry, and electrolysis. Now your semester 1 carries 40 marks, your semester 2 carries 40 marks. Semester 1, which will be held in the month of November this year, 2021, it will be purely multiple choice questions. Now when we say multiple choice questions, I have seen this in my students and while discussing with the others also, that they think that if it is a multiple choice question, something very easy is coming in their way. It's not like that, students. You all need to remember that your IIT and the NEET, such prestigious examinations where the children are doing such a hard work to get through their these examinations, some of them don't. They have to use 2 to 3 attempts to qualify these examinations. Reason being, they are also multiple choice questions, so they should be very easy. All the lakhs of students from all over the country, when they are attempting these NEET or IIT entrance papers, they all should get a seat. But then the scenario is something different. It is not like that, because your multiple choice questions, objective questions, they are based on in and out of the topics of the chapters. You have to really brush up your fundamentals, your theoretical knowledge, your quantitative, qualitative analysis should be at the best when we are preparing. So let's see the paper, which will give you the idea that what we are talking about. So here is the paper. Now it says ICSE semester 1 examination, specimen question paper, chemistry science paper 2, maximum marks 40. Now this is a change which has come through. Time allowed 1 hour inclusive of reading time. When you were, the council was conducting a board examination offline, it used to be of 2 hours duration, where 15 minutes were allotted for the reading time separately and 2 hours were for completely writing. But now, because it is a multiple choice question paper, here the time allotted is 1 hour, that is 60 minutes, and it is inclusive of reading time. All questions are compulsory. There are no choices in the paper. So they are saying select the correct option for each of the following question. Now your question number 1 says trend in metallic nature of metals as we go from top to bottom in a group. So we all have done the variations of the various periodic properties while we move left to right across a period, or we are moving from top to bottom in a group. Here they are asking about the trend in the metallic nature of metals. So it will increase when we will move from top to bottom in a group. So the first option is the correct option. It's the correct answer, in fact. Question number 2. The color change observed when the solution of magnesium hydroxide is tested with the following indicators. Your first option is phenolphthalein turns colorless to pink. Second, methyl orange remains orange. Phenolphthalein solution remains colorless. Blue litmus solution turns red. Various options are given in which your option number 1, alternative number 1 is correct. Phenolphthalein turns colorless to pink because magnesium hydroxide is an alkaline solution. In the chapter of study of acid bases and salts, you all must have done indicators, in which various indicators play a different role when they come in contact with acids or bases or your alkaline solutions. So here, out of the 4 options which they have printed, your first option is correct. that phenolphthalein turns colorless to pink, because this is the property which is shown by phenolphthalein when it comes in contact with only alkaline or basic solution. And because they are saying magnesium hydroxide, so magnesium hydroxide is an alkaline solution. Then question number 3, the compound which is non-electrolyte. Again, it is something very basic. It is a question from electrolysis chapter, where when we start electrolysis chapter, there are certain definitions which we have to do: electrolysis, electrolyte, non-electrolyte, electrodes, cathode, anode, various topics are there under that chapter. Under that chapter only your non-electrolyte term comes, in which they are asking the compound which is a non-electrolyte. So non-electrolyte is a compound which does not allow the passage of electric current to pass through it. So in this, the correct option is your carbon tetrachloride, that is the third option, CCl4. L represents your liquid state. Your KCl aqueous, it is an ionic compound, potassium chloride. In aqueous solution, it will dissociate into ions. Therefore, it will conduct electricity. So it cannot be an non-electrolyte. Similarly, your H2SO4 dilute, again, it is an acid. It will have your H plus ions and sulfate ions in the solution. So it can also not be a non-electrolyte. Then it is above all, it is a polar compound. Then comes your CCl4, which is a non-polar covalent compound. Because it is a non-polar covalent compound, it does not allow the passage of electric current. So this is the correct answer. Though your acetic acid is also mentioned, but then your acetic acid is a weak electrolyte. It partly dissociates. So on partly dissociation, some percentage of ions are found in the solution. And if ions are found in the solution, definitely that solution will be an electrolyte, whether it is strong or it is weak, but then it will be considered to be an electrolyte. So the correct answer is CCl4. Then comes question number 4. It says twice the vapor density gives. Now this is the question which belongs to your numerical chapter, that is your mole concept and stoichiometry, in which vapor density is the term which we have done. And it says that when vapor density is multiplied by 2, it gives you the value for molecular mass. So the 4 options which they have given is actual vapor density, option number 2, relative vapor density, option number 3, molecular mass, and option number 4, molar volume. So the correct answer is option number 3, because vapor density multiplied by 2 will always give you the numerical value for molecular mass. Question number 5, the number of lone pair of electrons in the nitrogen atom in ammonia molecule. Now they are asking about lone pair of electrons. Again, this question belongs to your chemical bonding. In this chapter, when we are doing the chapter, we come across 2 types of electrons: bonding electrons and lone pair of electrons. Electrons which participate in the bonding, they are known as bonding electrons, and electrons which do not participate in the bonding, they are known as lone pair of electrons. Now your nitrogen has atomic number 7. Nitrogen having atomic number 7, the configuration will be 2, 5. So it requires 3 electrons to complete its stable configuration. So out of 5, 3 electrons are involved in the mutual sharing of electrons. 2 are left. So nitrogen will always have 1 lone pair of electron. The 4 options which they have given are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Out of this, option number 1 is the correct answer. I hope you all are getting what I want to say. As I said in the beginning, your multiple choice question means in and out of the topic. Unless and until you have done the chapter thoroughly, it's not the oral thing that we have just glanced the chapter and we are there for the board examination. It's not like that. You have to really prepare in and out of the topic, because all the questions which we have discussed till now, you can see that they are asking the basic things. Now in the specimen paper, they are asking something about lone pair of electrons in nitrogen atom in ammonia molecule. Maybe in your Final paper, they might ask the number of lone pair of electrons in the oxygen atom and water molecule. So unless and until the concept of bonding electrons and the lone pair of electrons is clear, you cannot answer the question, because you cannot become a parrot that you learn each and everything. You need to understand and you have to retain here, which is something very, very important, students. Question number 6, elements with similar valence shell configuration in a periodic table are placed in. It is again the same group, because all the members of the group will show the same oxidation state, that is the valency, which totally depends upon the valence shell configuration, the valence electrons. For example, your halogens, group 17, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, with different atomic numbers, but when their configuration is written, it is found that all these elements have the oxidation state -1. They belong to the same group, that is the halogen group. Then comes your question number 7. The gas liberated when sodium sulfite reacts with dilute sulfuric acid. The 4 options which are there on the screen: carbon dioxide, hydrogen, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur dioxide. Now here the correct answer will be your sulfur dioxide. Then comes the next question, question number 8. Thickness of metal coating during electroplating depends upon the duration of current passage, a low current, nature of cathode, purity of anode. Now here the correct option is your a low current, which is required for your electroplating. Then comes your question number 9. Ionic bonding is seen in methane, hydrogen, ammonia, sodium oxide. Now your ionic bond, when we talk about, the definition says that it is a chemical bond that is formed by the transfer of electrons from an atom of a metallic element to an atom of a non-metallic element. So in this case, methane, carbon and hydrogen, both are non-metallic elements. Hydrogen, again non-metallic. Ammonia, NH3, nitrogen, hydrogen, again non-metallic. But when we come to sodium oxide, your sodium is a metallic element and oxygen is non-metallic. So sodium loses an electron and oxygen, that is your atom, it gains electrons and changes into oxide ion. So sodium oxide is the correct option where the ionic bonding can be seen. Then comes your question number 10. The molecular formula of an organic compound is C6H12O6 and the empirical formula is CH2O. The value of N is. Now what is your N? When we calculate the molecular formula, the last step to calculate the molecular formula is that first we calculate the value of N. And the formula says molecular mass divided by empirical formula mass. Now this N, when it is multiplied with the empirical formula, it gives you the value or the formula that is called your molecular formula. So here they are asking what will be the value of N. So CH2O is the empirical formula. Now we have to use a number out of these 4 options. Again, it is all mental calculation, because you will not be allowed to keep a scrap of paper even to do any rough working. Everything has to be here. All the calculation has to be done mentally. So for that, you really need to brush up your fundamentals. So the best thing is that the 4 options are given. CH2O. We can take one option at a time, multiply by the empirical formula, and we see. So if we take option number 2, it is C2H4O2. That is a wrong. If I take option number 1, it is your C1H2O, the same formula. Again, it will be wrong. If it is 12, then it will be C12H24O12. Again, it is wrong. But if I take option number 2, that is 6, then it will be C6H12O6. And that is the correct answer, because they have given the molecular formula, they have given the empirical formula, and they are asking the value of N. So this way you can do the mental calculation and you can get through it. It's not difficult. Children, remember one thing, nothing is difficult. When we understand the concepts, the same concepts become very easy for us to crack. So we really need to understand and solve the question paper with full confidence, and we need to say that yes, we can do it. Now your question number 11, when an electron is added in the valence shell, if it would have been a theory paper, the classic board paper, they would have asked what is the definition for electron affinity. But instead of asking the definition of an electron affinity, they have picked up one line. When an electron is added in the valence shell, energy is released, energy is absorbed, energy remains same, none of the above. The correct answer will be energy is released, because the definition of electron affinity says that when one electron is added to the valence shell of an isolated gaseous atom, the amount of energy which is released, that is known as your electron affinity. So here the correct option will be energy is released. Then question number 12, the most electronegative element, sodium, aluminium, bromine, fluorine. Again, when we talk about electronegativity, in your periodic table chapter, there is a topic where you have to study the variation of the respective periodic properties across the period down the group. Your electronegativity is a periodic property which decreases when we move down the group. So bromine and fluorine, they belong to the same group, but fluorine is the topmost element. So here the correct answer will be fluorine. So you have to really interconnect. It's just that you have to find the correct connection to get your answer clicked. And for that, as I said, and I am saying, and I will be saying, that please brush up your fundamentals, understand the chapter. Don't learn the chapter. Now comes question number 13. The bond in carbon tetrachloride, CCl4, single covalent bond, double covalent bond, ionic bond, triple covalent bond. Your correct answer will be single covalent bond. Question number 14, the type of bonding present in the nitrogen molecule. Now your nitrogen molecule, that means your N2, single covalent bond, double covalent bond, polar covalent bond, triple covalent bond. The answer will be triple covalent bond, because it is a nitrogen molecule. Both the nitrogen atoms in the nitrogen molecule require 3 electrons. So a mutual sharing of 3 electron occurs between the 2 atoms of the nitrogen molecule. So the correct answer is your triple covalent bond. Question number 15. Again, a mental calculation. A compound with empirical formula XY2 has the vapor density equal to its empirical formula weight. Its molecular formula is. Now your vapor density and the molecular formula weight, they are the same. So you have to find the correct answer. Now XY2 is the empirical formula and they have given these values. So you have to use a common multiple. So your common multiple will be 2. Because if your empirical formula is multiplied by 2, it is giving X2Y4. And if X2Y4 is divided by 2, it will again get back the empirical formula, that is XY2, which is printed in the paper. So out of the 4 options, X2Y4, X2Y2, XY, X4Y2, your correct answer will be X2Y4. Then question number 16. Identify one statement that does not hold true for electrorefining of copper. Now here they are not asking in favor. They are asking which does not hold true for electrorefining of copper. The first option is electrolyte is acidified copper sulfate solution. Cathode is a thin strip of impure copper. Anode dissolves in electrolyte. Anode gets thicker. Now in the electrorefining of copper, your cathode is always made up of thin strip of the pure metal. And here they are saying cathode is a thin strip of impure copper. So option number 2 does not hold true for the electrorefining of copper, and that is the correct answer. Then comes question number 17. The observation: when ammonium chloride reacts with potassium hydroxide, a reddish brown gas is evolved, a colorless gas which turns moist red litmus blue, a green colored gas which turns moist litmus paper red, a colorless gas which turns lime water milky. So here the correct answer is your colorless gas which turns moist red litmus blue, because when ammonium chloride is treated with KOH, ammonia is released, and ammonia is a basic gas which will always turn your moist red litmus paper blue, or red litmus solution blue. So option number 2 is the correct answer. Then comes your question number 18. The color of the precipitate formed when ferrous ion reacts with ammonium hydroxide solution: blue, reddish brown, dirty green, white. The correct answer is option number 3, that is dirty green. Question number 19. During ionization, metals lose electrons. This change can be called oxidation, reduction, redox, displacement. So this change will be called oxidation. Your ionic definition for oxidation and reduction says that when loss of electron occurs, it is oxidation. When gain of electron occurs, it is reduction. So here they are saying that during ionization, metals lose electrons. This change can be called, so the correct answer is option number 1, that is your oxidation. Then comes your question number 20, which says the oxide of a metal that reacts with both acid as well as alkali to form salt and water. So here the correct answer is your aluminium oxide, because here they are saying oxide of a metal that reacts with both acid and alkali. That means they are talking about amphoteric oxide. And your amphoteric oxide out of the 4 given is your aluminium oxide. So this is the correct answer. Question number 21. The property which decreases from left to right across the periodic table: electron affinity, electronegativity, ionization energy, metallic character. Your correct answer will be metallic character. Question number 22. On the basis of electronic configuration, the period and the group of B95 is. It will be your second and 3A. This is the correct answer out of the 4 given. Question number 23. Select the ion that would get selectively discharged from the aqueous mixture of the ions listed below: sulfate ion, nitrate ion, hydroxyl ion, and chloride ion. In this, as per the list, the correct option will be your hydroxyl ion. Question number 24. Hydronium ion is formed when a molecule of water combines with. Now you are doing coordinate bonding in your chemical bond chapter, and in that chemical bonding chapter, when we are doing, there are only 2 examples: hydronium ion and the ammonium ion. When I teach, I have posted also one tutorial, I don't know whether you all have seen or not, on chemical bonding, where I have shown the structure of ammonium ion. And I have discussed that ammonium ion is what? NH3 plus H plus ion. Your hydronium ion is water plus H plus ion. And H plus ion is nothing but it is a proton. So here they are saying hydronium ion is formed when a molecule of water combines with. Now there was a lot of confusion among the children that, ma'am, in the electron dot structures, how the multiple choice questions will come. Here it goes. Instead of asking you to draw the structure for hydronium ion, they have asked one very basic question. And in this basic question, if you see, if you have not practiced the structure of drawing of electron dot structure of hydronium ion, you cannot answer this question. So the correct answer out of the 4 options given is your proton. When your water combines with a proton, it forms hydronium ion. Question number 25. The condition that is most appropriate for electroplating with nickel. First option, electrolyte is molten copper sulfate. Second, anode should be made up of impure nickel plate. This option number 3, alternate current is used. Option number 4, periodic replacement of cathode is needed. Out of the 4 options, option number 2 is correct. Anode should be made up of impure nickel plate, because when electroplating is done, your article which has to be electroplated with nickel is placed at cathode, and anode is always an impure block of nickel plate. So during the electrolysis process, your nickel atoms, they lose electrons at anode, change into nickel ions, and these nickel ions migrate towards the cathode, which is attached to the article which has to be electroplated. So these nickel ions, they get deposited at the surface of the article because it is attached to cathode, and at cathode the reduction occurs. So the nickel ions, they again gain electrons and they change into neutral nickel atoms which get deposited or coated on the article required. So the correct answer will be anode should be made up of impure nickel plate. Option number 26, the hydroxide which is soluble in excess of ammonium hydroxide, lead hydroxide, ferrous hydroxide, zinc hydroxide, ferric hydroxide. Your correct answer is zinc hydroxide. Then question number 27, which statement is not true for electrolysis? Cations migrate towards cathode, anions discharge at anode, anions get reduced during electrolysis, cations get reduced during electrolysis. Your answer will be anions get reduced during electrolysis. Why? Because just now I have discussed and I have told you that at anode, your anions which are being formed, how they are being formed? They lose electrons. So anions get reduced during electrolysis. This will be the correct answer. Then question number 28, H2Y is the formula of compound. What is the valency exhibited by? In your middle school, you all have done the formula writing crisscross method where we interchange the valencies. So it is H2Y. So in H2Y, in Y, if you see the subscript, no number is written, that is 1. But whereas hydrogen is concerned, or I cannot say it is hydrogen because here they are using a symbol. That symbol can be any, it can be a code. So it is it is H2. So 2 is the valency for Y, which on interchanging forms the formula H2Y. So 2 is the correct answer. Then question number 29, the particles which attract one another to form electrovalent compounds are your electrons, because in electrovalent compounds, if metallic element is losing electrons, those electrons are gained by the non-metallic element to complete their respective stable configuration. So electrons is the correct answer in this. Question number 30, which one of the following statement is not correct? Pure water does not allow a current to flow through it. It is correct. The pure water is a non-electrolyte. The electrolyte only conducts when in the molten state. Third option, electrodes that react with electrolyte are said to be active. Correct. Ions must be present in the electrolyte in order that it conducts electricity. Correct. So the wrong answer, the alternative, which is the answer actually, because they are saying which one of the following statement is not correct. So for this, the answer will be the electrolyte only conducts when in the molten state, which is wrong. Again, here they are testing that whether the student knows the definition of an electrolyte or not. Because the definition of an electrolyte says a chemical compound which either in fused or molten state or in aqueous solution conducts electric current is considered to be an electrolyte. So option number 2 is the correct answer. Question number 31. The salt formed by partial replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical. Again, here the correct answer will be your zinc hydrogen sulfite. Now, instead of asking you that which one is an acid salt, they have just twisted the thing. They are saying the salt formed by partial replacement of hydrogen ion of an acid by a basic radical. So it will be your Z, it is zinc hydrogen sulfide, ZnHSO3. So this is the correct answer. Question number 32. Alkali which dissociates only partly in aqueous solution. Now, anything which is dissociating partly will always be weak. Now, out of these 4, lithium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, and sodium hydroxide, your calcium hydroxide is a weak electrolyte. rather a weak alkali, because here they are asking in terms of an alkali. So your calcium hydroxide will be the correct answer. Question number 33. The property that matches with elements of the halogen family are, the first option is correct, they are chemically highly reactive. Question number 34. Cathode is a reducing electrode because it has less number of electrons, it has deficiency of electrons, cations gain electrons from cathode, anions lose electrons to cathode. So cathode is a reducing electrode. Why? Because at cathode the reduction occurs. The cations, they gain electrons when they migrate, because your cations are the positive ions and your cathode carries a negative charge. So when these positive ions, they migrate towards the cathode due to force of attraction, at the end they gain electrons to neutralize their positive charge and get accumulated at cathode. So the correct answer will be cations gain electrons from cathode. Then question number 35. The simplest ratio of the atoms of carbon and hydrogen is 1:1. Identify the possible molecular formula. So C6H6, C2H4, C6H2, C3H4. Again, to find as per the ratio 1:1, your first option, that is C6H6, will be correct, because if this formula is divided by 6, you will get your answer as CH. The ratio will be 1:1. Question number 36. The empirical formula of the compound is CH2O. The possible molecular formula can be. Now, empirical formula has to be multiplied by N to write the molecular formula. Now, they have given the 4 formulas. Now, you can do what? Your N cannot be 0. So, start from N is equal to 1. If N is equal to 1 and I multiply your CH2O by 1, it will give the same. So, none of the options are matching. If I take the N is equal to 2, so it will be C2H4O2. Again, nothing is matching. If I take as 3, it is C3H6O3. So option number 1 is the correct answer. Again, it is a mental mathematics, mental calculation. And I have also developed this command on mental calculation because I have practiced, not seen or not read. Remember, teachers are not having horns on their heads. At some point, they were also students. So we have also learned, we have also developed confidence by practicing. That applies for you all also. These are all your multiple choice questions, children. Again, I am saying that no need to waste your time thinking that written practice is wastage of time. It is not. The more you will write, the more you will remember and more easily you will crack these multiple choice questions. Now coming to the last question, that is question number 37. From question number 1 to question number 36, each question carried 1 mark, but your question number 37 carries 4 marks. Now in this question number 37, they have taken a periodic table. This in the question it is saying, in the above table, some elements are mentioned with their own symbol and position of the periodic table, while others are shown with a letter. Answer the following questions pertaining to the same. Now they are saying the most electronegative element. Now the most electronegative element, it will be found in group 17. And as I said, electronegativity decreases when we move down to from top to bottom in a group. So if I talk about this option number this 17, 7A, in this your J is written at the top. So your correct answer will be J. Then the next part, how many electrons are present in Q? So if I take a glance at Q, your Q is present in group 15, 5A. It is the 4th period. So here the number of valence electrons will be 5, because it is saying 5A. Now this 5 represents the number of valence electrons which are present in the element belonging to this particular group. So your answer will be 5. The formula of the compound formed between E and O. Now, if we see this is your group 13, E is written third period. Now, if I recall the syllabus, in your reduced syllabus also it is written that the students are supposed to learn the elements of period 1, 2 and 3. Here it comes the application. If you have learned the periods of elements of period 1, 2 and 3, we know that in the modern periodic table, all the elements are arranged according to the increasing order of atomic numbers. So if Mg is written, Mg has atomic number 12. That means E will have atomic number 13. And 13 atomic number is of what? Of aluminium. Similarly, in the second period, they have written O. Now your O, if I talk about this is your second period, it's starting. It's lithium with atomic number 3. Then with atomic number 4, it will be beryllium. After 3, 4 comes atomic number 5. Boron, atomic number 6. Carbon, atomic number 7. Nitrogen, atomic number 8. It's oxygen. So compound being formed between aluminium and oxygen. Aluminium has oxidation state +3. Oxygen has oxidation state -2. We interchange the valency, we get the formula Al2O3. But here you have to write in terms of, you have to select the correct answer. Right will not be the correct term which I have used. It will be the choosing the correct option. So the correct option will be E2O3. Because if we if we glance on the compound which is formed between aluminium and oxygen, the formula is Al2O3. So here the answer will be E2O3. Then your question number 37, part D, the type of bond formed between A and X. Now let's see A and X. Again, your A, the third period. Now the first element of the third period is your sodium, atomic number 11. And it is forming, they are saying that what kind of bond will be formed with the moment sodium is coming. Why we should look at X even? Sodium means that it will be an ionic bond, because out of the 3 bonds, ionic bond, covalent bond and your coordinate bond, your ionic bond is the only bond which involves the metals. Again, I am repeating the definition. It says the transfer of electron taking place from an atom of a metallic element to an atom of a non-metallic element. Whereas in coordinate and covalent, coordinate is the modification of covalent bond, and the definition of covalent bond says that it is a chemical bond which is formed by the mutual sharing of electrons between the atoms of the same non-metallic element or different non-metallic element. So here, if we see to it, the correct answer will be ionic bond. Again, no learning is required. The moment it is saying A is written in the position of sodium, because we know the elements of period 1, 2 and 3. So if we know the elements of period 1, 2 and 3 in sequence, automatically we will identify A as Na. Na means an active metal. And the moment metal is coming and they are asking the type of bond, the correct answer will always be your ionic bond. So with this, we come to the end of the question paper solution. I hope this video was helpful. The entire solution of your ICSE chemistry specimen paper for semester 1 2022 examination has been discussed in this tutorial. Very soon the council coming up with the next plan that how this online examination will be conducted, whether it will be in school or it will be in your at home. Everything will be dependent upon the pandemic situation occurring at that time in our country. So that is something which is there for the future. Why we should spoil our present? The present says that we really need to get into our studies for all the subjects. I always say and I always believe that we are the masters of our minutes. It is in our hand that how we master the minutes which are in our hand. And that requires a very good planning for the time management. So with this, I end up this session, and I hope that this session was fruitful. Anyone who has to ask any questions or has got any doubts still, you can always put your comments in the comment section. I will get back to you. Thank you.